Welcome back to the leading edge of integrative mental health. I'm your host, Lisa Dale Miller. Please review and subscribe to the Groundless Ground podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, YouTube, radio.com, TuneIn, iHeartRadio, and of course find out more at groundlessground.com. I'm ready to go. How about you? Here in Silicon Valley, we've been under a shelter-in-place order for a few weeks now. Many of you may be relatively new to being forced to stay at home, and maybe you're in the process of figuring out how to work, attend school, exercise, make and eat meals 24/7, either on your own or in communal space with family members and roommates. It really is a transition. And it's a brave new world that in some ways we in Silicon Valley have been trying out for years. Under normal circumstances, many Silicon Valley employees work from home 2 or more days a week. So in some ways, we were poised to go inside from the day it was ordered by our governor. And we've complied very well. And word is, there's some signs Silicon Valley is flattening the COVID-19 curve. Our quick response and continued compliance are paying off. So please use this as inspiration and some kind of motivation to know that what you are doing by staying inside is the greatest service for yourself and your community. We're all in this together. As a psychotherapist, telemedicine is not new for me. Silicon Valley jobs often require employees to travel and work from Asia or Europe. So for years, I've been doing psychotherapy sessions by Zoom when my patients are away on business. That said, being at home is definitely getting old for some people. It's been a few weeks now here. As I see my patients via Zoom, I'm seeing this process firsthand. Not only in them, but in some ways in myself as well. Right now, I'm offering my patients a set of invaluable skills for staying sane in these extraordinary circumstances we find ourselves in. And I'd like to publicly share a few of these with all of you who listen to my podcast. They're really practical skills, they're very fast, they're really easy to do, and they will make your day better. So feel free to share the link to this podcast with all your friends and colleagues so they too can take advantage of these skills. The first skill is called 3 gratitudes, and this is a morning and evening practice. We've got a lot of good research to show that this works well. A lot of that research is from doctors, because this is a practice that has been offered to ease some of the burnout doctors have been experiencing for years. So the practice is simple to do. Upon waking in the morning, the moment you know you're awake, allow yourself first to just rest in the experience of wakefulness. That in and of itself actually is quite joyful. Not your thoughts about being awake, but just the feeling of, oh, I'm awake. And then use intentionality and start bringing up 3 things, and they can be very mundane things, but 3 things you feel grateful for. Mundane can look like, I'm so happy I have a roof over my head, or I'm so happy that my bed feels warm. Or I'm so happy I can hear my children in the next room and know that they're safe. Anything you might be grateful for. 3 things. And you bring them up one at a time in your mind. And as you name each thing, really let yourself feel the feeling of gratitude. It's kind of a warm, glowy feeling. And then before you get to bed, and this is either before you get into your bed or as you get into bed and you turn off the light, I want you to bring to mind 3 things you're grateful for that happened during the daytime. And they can be mundane, they can be big, anything you wish. Now this morning and evening 3 gratitudes practice, I have seen this really shift my patients' attitude, especially patients who normally wake up in the morning and they immediately have the narrative that's either depressive or anxious in their mind. It tends to get rid of that habit of anxiousness or collapse in the first moments after you realize you're awake. So that's the first practice. The second practice is what I call awareness breaks. This is for any time during the day when you might feel agitated or anxious. And even though this is a situation where you might be in a safe home and you might have enough food and you might actually still be working, so you wouldn't have the normal stimuli that would cause you to feel anxious, you might still find yourself being somewhat agitated. And that could feel like some kind of vibration in your throat or tightness. It can feel like some heat or trembling in your heart. I know some people experience it as speeded up heartbeat. That's how you know from your body. And of course, in your mind, you can be off in a series of thoughts predicting disaster in your future, which is usually what agitation in the mind looks like. So an awareness break is easy to do. The first step is, believe me, you're already doing it. The first step is to notice that you're actually feeling agitated, either in your mind with your thoughts, in your feeling space, or in some body sensation. As soon as you recognize the feeling of agitation or anxiousness, you have a choice. I would like you to choose in that moment to be kind and let your awareness rest with curiosity in the experience of agitation itself, no matter how it's arising. If you actually allow yourself to rest in the experience of it with the feeling of curiosity, oh, like, wow, this is interesting, look at this. And you let your awareness just rest in the experience itself. And you just watch what happens. The amazing thing is, internal phenomena tend to come and go pretty quickly. Unless, of course, you've fixated on it as though it's something true about you. And then it won't go away. If you just let yourself be aware of the feeling or the body sensation, or the series of thoughts, and you allow yourself to just notice and hang out with them and just observe without intervening at all. You don't need to fix, you don't need to stop, and you don't need to get involved. What will happen is you'll notice that the agitation will very quickly resolve itself. And that might be a moment for you, when that happens, to do gratitude practice. In a sense, to allow yourself to really own, wow, look at that. My system knows how to unwind its own upset on its own if I let my mind just partner with it and allow it to do what it needs to do. I know this sounds like magic, and I have many, many patients over the years who will attest to you this actually works. Curiosity and resting with an interested mind is amazing for allowing upset to just unwind on its own. The third skill I'd like to share with you is a skill that has to do with diligence and renunciation. So I know there are people out there offering skills to help you stay sane. But the truth is, diligence and renunciation are actually required to give yourself the permission to do a skill that you know is going to be good for you, especially in a moment where you don't feel like doing it. So as a clinician, there are 3 things that everybody should be doing right now, no matter what your situation is. Getting good sleep. Amazingly enough, telecommuting to your job and not having to do a long commute is giving people a chance to catch up on their sleep deficit. And I know many of my patients have actually remarked that they are sleeping better, feeling more rested during the day, and they like it. This is a great time when we are forced to be inside to redo our sleep practice. And the best way to do that is to pick a consistent time of night to go to sleep. I personally like people to go to bed by 10 or at least between 10 and 11, no later. And remember, human beings sleep in 2 sleep cycles and a waking period in between. So if you wake up between 2 and 4 in the morning, it's actually not a problem because this is what our species does naturally. Don't let it be a problem. If you notice you're awake, just let yourself feel into the tiredness in your body and you will go back to sleep. Number 2, exercise. All the stay-at-home orders allow people to go outside and move their bodies. And while it is true, you don't want to be going outside to any kind of collective activity, go outside either on your own and really power walk, or if you're a runner, you can still run. You can get on your bike and you can go biking. And if you want to do it with another person, if it's people that you are not at home with, you want to maintain a 6-foot distance. I cannot tell you how important exercise is. Now, for some of you, you may be immunocompromised, you may be living with people who are immunocompromised, so maybe you don't feel comfortable going outside. You people can dance. Pick music from when you were young that you totally loved dancing to and put it on and dance for at least 10 minutes. And I guarantee you, some pretty awesome dancing for 10 minutes will be a tremendous workout. The third way to exercise, of course, is high-intensity workouts. And these are easy. There are many online. I highly recommend the 7-minute workout, the 4-minute workout. There's even a 1-minute workout. You can go find them on YouTube. So that's another way to get exercise if you're inside. The third is eating well. You're home all the time, and that may mean if your cabinets and refrigerator are stocked with foods that are high fat, high sugar, and processed, that may be what you're eating a lot of. And that kind of food is not good for tranquility, for clarity in the mind, for a body that feels healthy. This period of being at home is actually a chance for you to get to know what your body feels good eating and what it doesn't feel good eating. These 3 things, sleep, exercise, and eating well, are the 3 top diligent actions you can do every day that will make this period of time not just palatable, but actually game-changing. And it could be. It's your choice. Last thing on the docket. Renunciation is a very interesting practice. So there's a lot of things people are having to renounce right now. In the Buddhist tradition, renunciation means not engaging in a whole slew of activities that human beings tend to like. But in this case, renunciation really in its essence is a renouncing of the need to have things be some other way. So we're ordered to stay at home. This is an act we all must do for the health and well-being of everyone in our country. So we are renouncing lots of activities, behaviors, social engagements so that we can make COVID-19 a thing of the past. Now, renunciation is something that feels good if you can allow yourself to recognize that staying at home is only awful if you spend all your minutes staying at home feeling angry, feeling resentful about the fact that you have to stay at home, feeling agitated or upset because you don't like staying at home. These are forms of suffering about something that is just basically painful. Being forced to stay at home is painful. So the thing we're renouncing here is our insistence on having things the way we like them to be. When we renounce that, it's so much easier to just settle and soften into things the way they are. And what really helps renunciation is recognizing impermanence. This too shall pass. We don't know when, but it will pass. Renunciation and diligence become the key. They become the foundation for allowing ourselves to be sane in the midst of circumstances that we've never been in before, that appear so extraordinary. And you can be in this set of circumstances without creating fear. Lastly, I would really like to speak to those of you who have been impacted by layoffs, your businesses closing. Over the last week and a half, 2 weeks, I have been hearing over and over again from the patients that I work with how generously they're supporting the people in their lives who normally provide services for them, even though those people maybe can't come to their home right now or they can't go to them for the services. And I really want to encourage everybody listening, if you have someone who provides a service for you, reach out to them and ask them, how can I help you? Maybe for those of you who provide those services, that the people who use your services, they value you. And if you have the opportunity to do it, it's really okay for you to reach out to them and to let them know how you're doing, what your plans are, for re-engaging in your service or your business, to let yourself be supported with connection. If you've been laid off from your job and it's a permanent layoff, this is a time to increase your skill set. There's lots of opportunities to do that online. It's also a time to look around for other kinds of career opportunities. Maybe there aren't a lot of jobs posted right now. There are companies and other businesses that are still in business and do need help. And then the last thing I'd like to encourage, whether or not you are working, I would like to encourage you to find a way to be of service. I am part of a network of psychotherapists who are offering pro bono services for healthcare workers impacted by the COVID-19 directly. They're actually on the front lines. I am sure every one of you could find some way to be of service to your community. So reach out, and many of these ways can involve you being at home. Finally, I'd like each of us to consider being diligent about reaching out to the people in our lives maybe we haven't spoken to in a long time, or even people who wouldn't expect to hear from us, but they're on our mind. If someone's on your mind, reach out to them. Just let them know that you're thinking of them. And I'm thinking of all of you.
Thanks for listening to today's show. To get in touch, please visit groundlessground.com. Let's dedicate our efforts to the healing of our planet and all its inhabitants. See you next time on the Groundless Ground.